Zodwa and Temba were daydreaming about what they would do if they won the lottery. Zodwa started, I'd hire a cook so that I could just say to him, hey, make me a sandwich. Temba shook his head and said, not me. I already have one of those. Good evening and welcome to Opportunity Tuesday on Talk with Rams Live, and happy Freedom Day. They call it a crown holiday because it is on the 27th, celebrating the 27th Freedom Day. It's been many years. I hope that you are seeing some signs of freedom and you enjoyed a bit of the freedom that you have. We are on part 2 of self-management strategies of emotional intelligence with our resident personal development coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda. This makes it week 7 on EQ alone, and we've only just begun. The journey ahead is long, but we are digging deeper. We are diving deep, as Dr. T always puts it. Thank you for choosing to join us. It is indeed the 30 minutes of powerful digital content that you will ever find this side of the equator. We are live on Facebook and YouTube as Talk with Rams. Please participate by sending questions and comments on both platforms and also on Twitter, Talk with Rams 1. Good evening, Dr. Thando Sibanda.
Good evening, Brother Rams. How are you doing, sir?
I'm dark and lovely, my brother. How are you?
I'm super.
How's your Freedom Day been so far?
Hey, I wish I had the freedom to enjoy the day, man. It's been very metaphorical for me.
Well, we are here. People are doing a public holiday. You had to prepare a script. I had to prepare a show. So I suppose, freedom is metaphorical. It's how you perceive it and how you use it.
Oh, absolutely. I think part of, I remember Madiba said freedom is responsibility, It's not that old concept. Yeah, it's not about just kicking off shoes and just killing, but it's actually taking responsibility for where we want to go. I think that is true freedom.
Well, let's go where we want to go. So last week we started on self-management strategies, and I know that we have, if I remember well, Dr. T, 15 of those, 10 or 15, 10 of those, and right. We only did 5 of those last week. So we're going to finish up on the remaining 5. But before we go, as usual, we're going to recap a bit. And I'd like to recap by starting with that definition of self-management. What is it again we're talking about when we say self-management?
Well, self-management, Rams, is a practical follow-up to self-awareness. Remember, in self-awareness, it's all about, I need to know, understand my emotions and how I function. But self-management now is taking it a step further. This is actually where you actually learn how to then pick up on the rumblings that are beneath the surface, the same way that a volcano would do. Whenever you see the lava, flowing out, as hot as ever. Guess what? There were some rumblings, beneath the surface that happened to a point where the pressure just caused it to fissure. And so self-management is actually knowing and understanding all the rumblings, within you, so that you are now able to put into play, the best way possible, so that you can get the best outcomes for yourself.
Why is it important, Dr. T? Why is it critical for me to have the ability to self-manage?
Well, self-management is very important because it ensures that you're not getting in your own way and doing things that limit your success, and furthermore, it makes sure that you're not frustrating other people to the point where they resent, dislike you, and don't even tell you when there's something wrong that you are doing.
When we spoke last week, Dr. T, you spoke about two things that were important before we go to the strategies. You spoke about a high level of self-management, ensuring that I'm not getting, or things are not getting in my way of success, in the way of where I'm traveling to.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also spoke about the ability to develop or to size myself up. I think that's what you said, if I remember.
Yes. To actually size yourself up and grab the reins before you head in the wrong direction. Have you ever even observed someone who had started off on a tangent and it's going to end so far down the line that it's not going to do them any good? But the person themselves doesn't actually seem to realize that. And so that comes when we've got a very low EQ, and our ability to actually manage ourselves is very compromised. So we need to be able, the same way you would rein in a horse, we need to be able to grab the reins, before we head off in the wrong direction, And so self-management enables us to be in control of our own reins, where you actually tell yourself, you know what, I'm not going to go down that route, where you are able to grab yourself, before you actually go down a certain path. I'm sure you know it. Things really escalate quickly out of control, especially in relationships. Why? Because we listen to respond, we don't listen to understand, and so it's that craving of saying, you know what. Let them finish, then I can tell them what I want to tell them. That inability to rein ourselves in is a sign of a very, very compromised self-management strategy.
Okay, let's dive deep in then, Dr. T, and recap firstly on the first 5 strategies of self-management before we go to the last 5. The first one we dealt with last week was, and we're going to do the first 5 very quickly, Dr. T. If we can do each of them for not more than a minute so that we make more time for the rest. You said we should create an emotion versus reason list.
Oh yes. Remember, because life is experienced emotionally, right? A lot of times you find that it is then easy to follow emotions or to live life based on emotions. But see, we need to understand that life must be lived on principles, and then the emotion comes in as an experience of the decision you've made based on principle. But you see, a lot of people live life based on emotions. We write songs based on emotions. We write songs like and do the writing and supervise the editing and the sleeve designs. So the point is that it's easier to speak than to do. And then you find that it's important to then have an accountability circle, right? Where you can say, this is what I'm doing. The reason why it's called an accountability circle is because you then give them the mandate, the right to hold you accountable to what you have set out to do. Don't go public with all your plans. No, find people that you can be accountable to, responsibly accountable to. Those they will hold you accountable, the same way a board is supposed to do, to say, well, are we doing things properly? So have those types of people around you that actually can make sure that you are getting off the couch at 5 a.m. and you are going for the jog that you've said you will do.
And once I've made that important decision, Dr. T, once I've decided I'm going to write this romantic novel that's only second to 50 Shades of Grey.
Is that a commitment?
The commitment, Dr. T. But you say I must sleep on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always important. Remember, in that timeless classic War and Peace, right? Leo Tolstoy wrote that the two strongest warriors are time and patience, right? So it's very important to make sure that you give yourself enough time to process things. Don't be someone who's always quick to give an answer on the spot. Because remember, on the spot, you don't have the power of perspective. So always be able to sleep on something before you come to a decision. I realize that a lot of times when I respond on the spot, and I think I'm a smart person, on average, whenever I respond on the spot, when I go home and sit down and think about that, I normally find that my response shortchanged me somehow, or I could have added better value if I had slept on it, So it's always important to say, give yourself that space, whether you are making decisions or you are responding to situations, always say, I will get back to you. Give yourself time, because time creates clarity, and clarity is a part of perspective.
Excellent. Then, Dr. T, you said we should then also speak to a skilled self-manager.
Oh, absolutely. You see, because in coaching, we have this thing called modeling of excellence. Modeling of excellence says, look, if I want to achieve certain results in a specific area, maybe I want to be healthy, I want to live healthy, I want to grow some abs. Well, I can't go and speak to a guy who does not have the abs to show me how to have the abs, So I need to speak to a skilled self-manager in that sense. Say, look, you are very good at disciplining yourself for this specific outcome. Can you take me through that? Can you work with me through that? You will find that if you are able to find certain self-managers, people that are able to remain calm, and not give in to anger, people who are able to speak with perspective, speak to those self-managers who are good at those things, and get to know what they do. Let them model out their excellence so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Very, very important.
My favorite one on part one, Dr. T, was the last one we did yesterday. You said last week, you said you must smile and laugh more.
Oh, absolutely. It's very funny that when you actually look at just the neuroscience of humans, that when you laugh and smile, your face sends signals to your brain that you are happy. So it's not the other way. You don't start with internal happiness and then the smile follows. No, actually, you can lead yourself with a smile, because when you smile, the brain says, oh, wow, we are happy. Oh, therefore, guess what? If we are happy, let's change the emotional state to happy. Let's be happy because we are happy. So it's very important that we get to understand that, because if we understand that, then we are able to actually influence our internal state rather than being influenced by our emotions. You will find that even at work, they'll tell you, put on a happy face. You want to feel better? Put on a happy face. Have you ever seen that the moment you start smiling, you start getting better? And before long, actually, you bought into the smile and you've lifted yourself out of an internal a negative state into a positive one.
I wonder why then people don't smile a lot between the sheets. But don't respond, Dr. T. Don't respond. Let's move on to number 6.
Absolutely. We shall keep that one for another day.
Exactly.
Okay.
We should set some time aside for problem solving. And you say, in my day, I must do it every day.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is very important, Rams, because a lot of times people, we are running after what I call the tyranny of the urgent. You are experiencing hundreds of emotions every day as you are seeking to actually, solve challenges, this and that, within a work environment or even a home environment, stuff is consistently popping up. And so you are experiencing hundreds of emotions each day, some of which you are not even aware. And you spend your day bouncing from feeling to feeling, which then can lead you to making some decisions at inopportune times. There's a number when you just decide, enough is enough, I'm not taking this anymore. But maybe it's because you've been dealing with such a lot of things that this thing, which could have been very simple to deal with, because it's coming on the back of a lot of pressure, you decide to give in and give up. So I say, even if you think back through some of your recent decisions, and you likely find that some of the decisions you made while hurrying through your day were not as effective as those that were made with some planning and some clear thinking. So guess what? The only way that you can ensure that you've got the right space to actually make good decisions, set aside some time for problem solving, for thinking through things. And just keep it simple, just 15 minutes a day, a simple 15-minute period where you turn off your phone, you walk away from your computer, and take time to just think and arrange things. When there's a conversation that you need to have, just thinking about it without interruption, it helps you to actually sort out your thinking process. Even when you need to have a comeback, you can actually plan your comeback very, very well than if you are trying to think, on your toes, as we say it. Set some time aside for dealing with challenges and dealing with problems on a daily basis.
I like the 15-minute concept, Dr. T, because if you take too long, you end up making problem solving a problem itself, and we don't want that. Okay, Let's move on to the number 7, Dr. T, and it says we need to take control of self-talk.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, every person speaks to themselves, literally. You speak up to 145 words a minute minimum, but you are thinking 6 to 7 times faster. If you multiply that, you will see that every day we've got monumental thoughts that come through our mind. But the most interesting thing, Rams, is that we actually talk to ourselves more than we talk to others. And it's interesting that every time that those thoughts take place within us, right? Our body produces chemicals in our brain that can trigger reactions that are felt throughout our body. That is how you actually decide what how you are feeling and what this does to you. Now, my point is, we talk to ourselves more than anybody else, and so you've heard yourself saying, I say to myself, let me go. I thought to myself, and then I say it to myself. So we talk to ourselves more than we speak to anybody else. And there's a strong relationship between what you think and how you feel, both physically and emotionally. And because you are always thinking, much like breathing, and you tend to forget that you are doing it, it's very important that every single hour, the way you literally I am speaking to myself, take control of that self-talk. Make sure it is positive. Because if it is negative, it is going to lead to negative emotions, and it will lead to negative outcomes. Okay,
good. There's an example you made. I don't know that's a run out of time, but I like something you said, Dr. T. You said, turn I always or I never into just this time or sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. It is important to be kinder to yourself, right? So your positive self-talk must not be, or rather your self-talk must be positive, where you are kinder. You can't say, I always mess things up, or you know what, I'm a disaster. No, be kinder. Say, sometimes I make decisions that are not wise. See, when you start saying that to yourself, you are actually, bringing yourself back into a very balanced state of point. And also you can replace, judgmental statements like, I'm an idiot. That's a judgmental statement. You can replace that with, by saying, you know what, I made a mistake. Maybe I didn't get it right this time. I'll probably get it better next time. So that way you are able to, You want to come in there?
I actually want us to spend a bit of time on this one next week, Dr. T. Self-talk is a critical thing. Maybe we need just one show to talk about only self-talk, because this is powerful. So let's move on to strategy number 8. You say I must visualize myself succeeding.
Yes, this is very important, Rams, because remember, we say what the eye of the mind can't see. It's very difficult for the body to attain. So if you can't see it, you can't have it. A lot of times. So we must see ourselves doing that. And I know in a lot of conversations, certainly where within the people in my circle, a lot of times say, you know what, I just don't see myself doing that. Oh yeah, I can see myself doing that. See, actually your mind is creating a very strong visual that then allows you to manage yourself in the direction of what you see. So a lot of us need to start creating that self-management strategy where we can literally see ourselves, succeeding, see ourselves achieving, see yourself, doing what you even thought you couldn't do. That way you get the necessary energy to manage yourself in the direction that you want to go.
Brilliant. The next point, Dr. T, if we were in church, I'm sure at the time you explain it, I would be rising up and saying, yes, go deeper, Pastor. You say, keep your attention on your freedoms rather than your limitations.
Oh, that's true. Remember, a lot of parents say to their kids, life isn't fair and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not up to you. And we beat that into our kids where they actually grow up, with this thinking that, life is not fair and I don't have any control over it. And so that creates certain limitations before you even try to interact with the whole world. Your own self-concept has its own perceptual limitations. It's important to actually turn your attention and focus on the things you can do rather than the things that you can't do. Maybe I can't sing well, but I can write well. How about I focus on writing well? Just as an example, it's very important that we focus on the things we can do. Focus on your freedoms and rather than on your limitations. Then you will see that your success is transferable. If you're able to do well there, you can actually transfer that into other dimensions of your life. And that's a very good way to self-manage.
Dr. T, I'm not you, so I'm not going to try and become the self-development coach. But I swear if most of us focus mostly on this strategy in life, we would achieve so much. Because I find that we put ourselves under pressure to do what Freddie can do, even though it's not my strength, when I could be focusing on what I can do best. I think if we did that more, all of us would succeed. Let's go to number 10 then, Dr. T, our final one. You say, speak to someone who is not emotionally invested in your problem.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, Rams, when problems arise, your brain is consistently thinking, constantly sorting, analyzing to decide the best course of action, right? The only problem is that the information that your brain has to go with is what you've given it. It's actually what you are fitting to it. And a lot of times, because our minds are structured to actually deal with that, it's easy to get stuck on a single thought. And when you allow this to happen repeatedly, it can actually limit your options. And that is why it's a huge relief to always share with somebody, right? Because then that creates perspective. You've got someone else who is seeing you from the outside in, and so they bring perspective. That's very, 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 very important. And secondly, Rams, it's important to speak to someone who is not invested, so that you can get a very balanced outcome. If you speak to somebody who has a lot to gain from what you are going to say, guess what? They will advise you in the best direction for their own outcomes. So sometimes getting in someone who's neutral, getting in, a fresh thought into your situation can give you the actual necessary perspective that you need, which is not biased in any way.
So I must choose the third party very carefully.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Don't choose yes men, like a lot of our politicians.
And I certainly should not choose my children because they're dependent on me, so they're going to be on the right side of me all the time.
Absolutely. Choose the opposition.
I'm going to find that neighbor that doesn't like me much. They're going to be the person I tell my problems to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, but no, it's great if you can choose someone that can give you a balanced view. Absolutely.
That's powerful, Dr. T. That's powerful. So now that we spend a bit of time being aware of who we are, we now have spent a bit of time on knowing how to manage who we are. So from self-awareness to self-management, what's next?
Well, I think what's next, in fact, next week we'll just take some time and really talk about the power of positive self-talk so that we can allow ourselves to be kinder, much kinder to ourselves.
Let's do that for next week. Focus on that a lot. And next week, I know I've been saying this, but now we have finalized it into a different week. And I'm going to leave it right there. So guys, you can see me in my Cuban shirt. I'm going to finish my Freedom Day in celebration. You enjoy yours too. So Dr. T, thank you very much and have a great evening further.
Been a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
And you folks, from me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.